think about
Right,
pricing.
Right.
Just to give it up $450 is $60,000, so a bus and a half.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I thought it was 80. Weren't we 80
No,
on?
60. Oh, if you count the current year, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, fiscal 12.
72.
That's another 12.
Yeah.
It's right. 72.
But again, we don't know, if we're worried that we're not gonna fill the buses at $200 fees, then, we start charging
Right.
$350 for a bus
Well,
ride.
that's-
We might need two
With no
buses at the
family
end of the
cap,
day.
by
Yeah.
the way.
We can't ignore economics.
Yeah, no.
Right.
it's-
Take economics. You learn about supply and demand.
I've
More
learned about
living
in
it.
classes, of course,
Yeah.
like history and all that, but. No.
Yeah, no, this is a
No more
perfect
fun class.
example
This
of
is
that
the curve.
This should be
This is the
class.
curve.
This would
Yeah.
be the class.
Well, definitely. I mean, like you look at the sports.
Yeah.
Paying $600 to run cross country.
Right.
I wouldn't do that.
No.
I love cross country, and
Yeah,
I've been doing it forever. But
right, that's doubling the fee.
I'd
what
have
you
to think
pay now.
about it. Is it worth
Mhm.
paying the money for there?
Mhm.
And if he's actually sitting here saying that, you have to know that there are plenty of students
Oh,
at
yes.
home that are saying, yeah, it's just not.
Well,
Oh,
and it's,
already,
but
I
it's
mean-
more than that. It's also families that have 3 kids
Right.
that play multiple
The
sports
fact
with
is,
no
if
cap.
we
It's
don't
even worse
make
for
this
them.
somewhat
What's the
equitable,
current cap?
we'll be redoing this at the beginning of the
1500.
school year in an instant because
So take a kid.
these
take
sports
someone
are
with
all
3
going to
kids that play
disappear,
2
and we're going to have to
sports.
raise the
Or 3
fees
kids
to
that play 3
sports,
sports.
Yeah, I just did-
sports that we do.
Yeah, so I did
We had to start
5,400.
dropping sports.
Oh, we
Yeah.
will drop sports, but that we're counting on those sports to help
Yeah,
pay for
$4,000.
other sports.
That's the
And
problem.
you just have some, we'll be redoing all these numbers.
Because we looked at, like, if you did
The last
no
guy.
middle school sports, that was one option, but that was a problem because we were making money on the middle school program and being able to redirect it to some high school program. The other thing we looked at was the sports where you have the 4 teams, just, having 3 teams and just eliminating that. Again, we can do it again, but the money, we'll bring it up, we'll bring it to you again so you can take a look at the numbers, but.
Because, like Dave had just mentioned, if you're a family with 3 children that play sports 3 times a year, you're at
Yeah.
$5,400, no family cap. So you're at $3,900 more than what you're spending right now.
Right, right.
So if you're an average family, it's cheaper for you to have that's double.
Yeah.
That could double your
Right.
taxes in
Right.
essence.
Yeah, I mean, there is a tipping
There's a
point to all this.
tipping point, right? And it,
You get cheaper to put your kids in clubs and stuff than in playing your
Yeah.
school team.
But even that, I mean, even the
Cheaper to support
it is
those around.
ridiculous.
I just really
Yeah.
think I think, when we talk about the quality of education, and I even, people in Georgetown, they'll say, I talk to people that have said, oh, wow, when we went to school, we had metal shop.
Right.
We didn't have user fees.
Yep.
We had all the electives, we wanted. And, aren't we supposed to be making it better for people, not for kids, for the next generation, not worse? So I think that's what I think bothers all of us, and I'm sure bothers, many,
It's a
many
much
others.
more competitive world,
It's a
and
much
getting
more-
into
it
colleges
is.
is much more competitive.
Right.
It
And
is.
it's global. It's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
It's not just in
Yep.
your neighborhood.
And,
Right.
we always talk about, we want kids to be active and involved and make their world a better place, and then we don't have any clubs for them, they don't have to pay $200 to
All right,
participate in it, it's just not the right.
My last
not
question is,
working.
so again, with 2 of us not being here next week,
we can vote on a number for purposes of presenting to the public for public hearing.
Mm.
So at least we have that as a starting point.
so we agree on the conceptually. We're
Yeah.
not voting and
Right,
Well, by
you're
voting on
the
these
number that
items,
you're
we're
going
voting
to-
on a
On-
self-funded extracurricular.
correct.
What that looks like. We're not voting on what.
We're not
fee
saying
structures,
what
none
it's
of
going to
that.
look
You're not
like.
setting the exact fees.
That's
Right.
correct.
Right. You're simply
We're
saying
saying
there's going to be
a budget
there's
number
going
of
to be
12,165,797
Correct.
Right.
includes fees and activities being self-sufficient and implementing a bus fee.
Correct.
What that's all going to look like
But-
is to be determined.
Yes,
Right,
and,
correct.
I understand you need some more time on that, and you need to take it, but just for the purposes of not having us have another summer in September of huge issues with buses, I would prefer that we let people know as soon as we can make a decision everybody
Correct.
can live with. It's really important we get the information
so-
out, because we did not leave people the last 2 years an opportunity to plan appropriately.
Okay,
so once we get the budget locked is when we need to get that
Yes. I mean,
bus information
Okay,
out.
so
ideally, we'd like to start registration
No, I
middle
was
of
having the
April.
I was having the conversation now
Right.
because I'd like to hear people.
Yeah.
Because remember, this is the whole. If you remember, the whole conversation last year was that we never went through the budget process and had this discussion. Now here we
Right.
are, and the public hearing is next week.
So Terry, can I just
Yes.
then get clarification from you on, at $200 as
Correct.
originally suggested, so let's say we
200.
stick with that.
Yep.
And that money can be used to offset
Transportation.
costs.
Correct.
Yes.
And I think you gave it a number of like 40,000 or something, Anne, when you did the,
What I did was I said the potential fee revenue of $93,800. I took out the second run of $28,400 because who knows if that's going
Right.
to pan out.
Right.
So I came up to 65,400. And then I said maybe we would only get half of grades 7 to 12 that were eligible.
that would
So
be-
that
yeah.
would give us about 23,500 off of the 65. So
Yeah.
about 40, yeah,
40.
around 40,000.
So
So
that's,
it- no,
that's
it-
a bus. It has to be 46.
Well, no, but see, that's why I say at that point, if you had that much reduced registrations, you would probably look at going
We
back
would
to
start
4
looking
buses.
at-
Buses,
yeah.
4 buses.
But that could be used to offset the transportation costs.
Right, $46,000 is
Which-
already
which
assumed
could
to
also-
offset
We
transportation
assume
costs.
46 is already
It's
on
already
the
there.
table.
Okay.
So if we don't hit the 46,000,
Then we gotta have more
Right.
come from
We have a
somewhere.
bigger problem.
A
Right.
bigger problem.
yes, I think that is a volatile number.
It
It's a
is.
what?
It's a volatile number.
Oh, yeah,
You need
definitely.
people committed in the beginning.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
why,
The
we said
registration
we need
process.
the registration process, so we know upfront what it's gonna look like. And just
And
for
I-
the sake
And I
of
mean, I
support
suppose to
families.
some degree, I don't think this would be the ideal situation, but I mean, assuming that you could come to quick agreement on change of policy and the fee that you would want to at least propose, you could conceivably go through the bus registration process, have that completed. And once that was completed, you would have a reasonable estimate of your revenue,
Right.
at which point in time you could go back and visit your athletic fees.
I remember one community had to do that because there were a lot of parents that said they would do it, and then when it came to writing the check, they didn't.
Exactly.
And they had a huge hole. in their
Exactly.
budget.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
And we
that's
would
why
ask-
you'd have
we
to
would
do the
ask
money.
for
That's why I would
deposit.
have to,
Somebody wanted to register for a bus, we would ask for a deposit immediately and full payment within 30 days.
Okay.
yep, okay.
Alright.
So I think we're, in principle, set for discussion next week.
Did you actually vote on
I
that?
was
No,
gonna
they're
say,
gonna vote.
are we going, are we gonna vote on,
Well, I thought George said.
Next
Should-
week, the committee's gonna have to vote on the number.
Right.
After public hearing. But I think what we should do is vote on a number for discussion. So next week,
so next week,
at least you
It
guys
will be
have
discussed,
some
right.
starting point for your discussion with the community. Or we just say it's a number and we don't have to vote on it.
what would you rather do, just vote and get it?
I-
think our vote
I think we should,
Dave and Ann are gonna be there next week, so,
Yeah.
and they're in
I'm
agreement.
comfortable to do it. I mean, I'm comfortable that 646,
42,
So then-
42 in addition, so that gets us to
12,165,797.
12.
I think giving an indication at the public
165,
hearing does actually have
797,
some
right?
meaning as to
Think
what,
so?
yes, I do.
So vote,
And all clubs and
That would
buses
be my personal
are going to be
recommendation, yeah.
self-sufficient
You
in
know-
some shape or form.
why don't we
That's
just
where we're at
vote
right now,
on
right?
that?
Yes,
So that, yeah, at the public hearing, we would say we, 4 of us have discussed it and this is where we
it's
are.
really with a fee structure to be determined.
Right.
Correct.
Right, but no more burden on the budget of that we're voting on now.
Right.
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 I think the other thing that I was at a department head meeting the other day, and we were talking about this budget, and I asked the question about, well, who's going to make ultimately the decision about, if there's an override suggested, or if there's going to be use of free cash and all of that, and they said, well, obviously FinCom is charged with the balanced budget. But one of the comments that was made is, well, no, the school committee would need to ask for an override. If the school committee felt that there needed to be, money to fund a budget, so for example, the fees were a problem, you wanted to have, fees go into an override or whatever, they said that the committee would ask for an override. So I'm just throwing that out because that wasn't consistent with what I thought, but I don't know the process. So that's why I'm asking, what role, is that something that we talk about when we go to FinCom? And, because I think the select board, a couple of reps are supposed to be there as well. When does, from those of you who've been around town for a while, how does all that conversation come up? Who brings that forward? If the school committee doesn't come in with
If
a
we go-
balanced budget or a level funded budget, are you charged with trying to come up with a solution to it, or?
No, it doesn't
comes
work.
up?
No,
Who-
what happens is the FinCom, we come up with a number, they go
Yeah.
through their level of scrutiny on the number,
Yeah.
they say this is what we can afford,
Okay,
and then we start talking about other sources. So it might be free cash, might be stabilization fund, or it might be an override.
Who talks about that, George?
The school committee and the FinCom.
Okay.
And at times the board of selectmen, all depends on who's involved.
At our
Okay.
budget presentation?
Like,
Or
yeah,
somewhere
but 'cause-
around
No,
then?
we don't make the recommendation for the funding source. The FinCom says here are the funding sources that
Okay.
we think exist. But if there's no, but if they wanna preserve the stabilization fund, and they wanna preserve free cash because of other issues, then they'll tell you that these funds are not available to you, so all you really have left is an override.
Okay,
And then at that point, if they support your budget and the override is a funding mechanism, chances are they'll support the override.
okay.
For the recommendation of the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen put it on the.
Cause
on the
sometimes they
warrant.
say, oh, well, you know, the schools are asking for an override. So I never understood, you know.
No, we're not. I mean, but
What-
we're not now in this,
we're
in
no-
this discussion.
No, we're not.
No.
No, we're not.
That's just an assumption, but no, what we're looking for is existing funding sources,
Okay,
Right.
okay.
not an override.
I just think that's important to talk about because there's some confusion
Right,
about
no,
that.
and I've written-
And there are
I've-
some parents who are thinking that the school committee is gonna ask for an override and,
Yeah, because
you
we've
know,
had this discussion
yeah,
of
yeah.
if our number is 12.2, how do we bridge, who comes up with a solution to bridge that gap?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's-
And then there's, so the FinCom, again, that's correct. The
That's-
FinCom has to present a balanced budget.
yes,
And in that budget, there is the number they're recommending.
right,
But then there's a supplemental article that says that we're also looking for this to be funded by the various
This.
sources.
Right.
okay.
And at that point, the FinCom will make a recommendation as far as whether or not they support it, if it makes sense, and then it goes to the floor. And the floor votes. So if it's free cash, it's majority, if it's staff fund, it's 2/3.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Because many people are just confused as to, well, what's gonna happen now, you know?
Well, that's,
what-
I will tell you now,
Yeah.
that has never, so this is what my 10th budget, we had a couple of free cash items, but they were designed to be standalone,
Right,
one-time
Right.
free cash items, so they were very compartmentalized. This, we're asking for free cash and stabilization money for an operating budget,
right,
which is never a
Never.
comfortable
Yeah, I know.
situation for them, and rightfully so,
I
because
understand,
the question's always gonna come down to what does fiscal 13 look like?
yeah,
And what we're saying is that by doing what we're doing now, and we've kept our word across the board as far as what we're gonna do. By doing what we're doing now, and we're bringing special education costs down, that we have to have a favorable contract negotiation for starting fiscal 13. That we will be in a position where we're not going to create a major drain. There's unforeseen circumstances. The state cuts another 10% off of Chapter 70, we can't do anything about that.
Right.
But assuming all things are equal, that
Right.
we're not putting the town in a worse position in fiscal 13. Because what's gonna happen in fiscal 13 is you have no choice but to go for an override. There won't be other funds available.
right,
So if the town bridges us for a year, the expectation is going to be that we resolve this, or the inevitable is now gonna come in fiscal 13 versus 12.
right, but I think that's still gonna be a problem in 13, even if, you know,
Because we have
even
a
if
school.
this happens.
I'm not
and-
sure I agree with that. I believe that,
I think
again,
that-
it's gonna come down to collective bargaining.
Yeah,
I believe that with special education improvements that we've had, coupled with favorable contracts,
right.
that we can make that a minimal impact
Right,
to the town.
but just to understand too, with the special education, you know, we said that was really gonna be a pretty good, if we provide these programs. But after a while, there are kids you're gonna run out of kids to bring back. And if we're not sending kids out, that's great, cause we're educating them in-house, but it's not like more money is going to be coming back into the budget.
No, that's not, but
Is
the
that what
point-
you were, I thought that's what you were saying, that
No,
was helping
the-
us to
no,
recover some money in the
It's getting
budget?
us, again, what
It's
we're doing is,
bridging.
we're
It's filling the
bridging,
gap.
we're
Yeah.
bridging up to a certain point in time. We don't know what that time looks like yet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're all in uncharted waters right now.
Yeah.
Every municipality, every government,
Right.
we haven't done this before.
No, but I have to say, I think that this, over time, that this stimulus did put us, it did create that structural deficit. If that money could have been recovered, or somehow become part of the base, our budgetary increases would be reasonable every year,
No,
and we
but-
would not
well,
have
it's
a
funny,
structural.
but I don't necessarily agree with that, because
Okay.
I will tell you that, no, the only reason why I don't is because, one, we had a $300,000 special education tab that we covered ourselves out of our own funding. We had these big holes in our budget over that same 2-year period. We had 10% come out of the stimulus money right off the bat, which would have made a difference. But they took the 11 money and put it back into the Q4 of 9 at that point in time, and we cut below what our level funded number would be absent stimulus.
Right,
So
but we've been
we, in
cutting
effect,
every
if
year.
you look at the way we did this, we did not create a cliff. We had
Mm-hmm.
other things that came up that became problematic that
Mm-hmm.
we couldn't predict.